Good night and good morning to everyone. This is update for May 2022, day 86 of the war, end of the date update. So we're gonna discuss a couple of sort of strategic or general questions, and then we're gonna walk through the front line as always. Uh, as a summary, the situation is getting worse for Ukrainian forces near Popasna and general in what we call Severodonetsk uh, salient. So stay tuned, and we'll discuss in detail once we get there. So there are. So first question we would like to discuss is Russia is pulling its troops from Syria, leaving only two ports, which are just supply points for the Russian Navy there. So what this really means is that Russian side is feeling definitely like there is not enough troops, basically, in a very simple, primitive way. There is another data point that's supporting it. Now, Russian parliament is discussing law that allows all citizens of all ages to participate, to sort of join Russian army as how to say, as a paid soldier, if that's the right way to say it. Basically, before the limit was 40 years old, you can join the Russian army as as a soldier as long as you're under 40. Now this limit will be revoked. So again, this is another data point that there's a shortage of the military personnel on the Russian side to continue this war. On economic front, Finland stops buying Russian natural gas in a day or two, and then also Lithuania, which is a small country next to Poland, stops buying electricity from Russia. In terms of Ukraine getting weapons from the US, from Germany, from the UK, so far it looks very little, and our understanding that majority will come probably sometime in July. So those hopes of those people who are thinking that Ukraine can launch any kind of offensive, it's probably not going to happen till July for sure. And we're not even touching side of the training ability to execute that, just from purely from the weapon situation. There won't be any ability to do anything like that. Now let's start going through the front line as we're gonna do it in a clockwise fashion. We're gonna start kind of a little bit from this northern, from Sumy region. So there was exchange of fire here between Kursk region and Sumy region, basically on both sides. And also Belgorod region. So this is kind of like now becoming feature of every day, and this is, in our opinion, Russian. Russian side is leaving this kind of door open to declare formal war on Ukraine and sort of like do full mobilization and so on. So this door is being kept open. When it opens fully is unknown, and but it's definitely an option, because just as a reminder for those who are relatively new, this is not considered a war in Russia. So formally, even if you are in a Russian military, you can always say no when to go to Ukraine, and there's no repercussions from a legal perspective. So you can just say no, and that's it. And there is growing number of Russian soldiers doing that. So that's why we mentioned this new changes to the law and pulling troops from Syria. It's all, there is a need. The Russian side is scrambling for battle ready troops that can be sent to the war right now, not in a month or so after declaration of the formal war. So now let's continue. Let's look at what's going on near Kharkiv. Situation here hasn't changed, so now it's more or less stable. Russian side a little bit pushed Ukrainian side here in this area where and so now they have probably buffer that they want. They probably still unhappy in this area, but they probably at the same time don't have enough troops to kind of continue pushing Ukrainian side there. Now let's move south. Let's look at the Izyum bridgehead and Lyman bridgehead, because they kind of like two twins in a way. And just for those who are new, this bridgehead, the point of this bridgehead is to encircle Ukrainian, is to kind of move, kind of create a pincer that goes down south and it meets with a southern pincer somewhere, and effectively encircles all of these Ukrainian troops in Donbass salient, or alternatively forces withdrawal of Ukrainian troops to the west, and effectively gives full control over the Donetsk region to Russian army. So that's the whole point of this Izyum bridgehead, and it's important. But let's actually look here. Situation here is stable. There's no changes. Again, today we also identified 15th Regiment from the 2nd Mechanized Division operating there as well. So what this, if we go back, if you remember, for those who are sort of veterans of our channel and stayed from the very beginning, we created these groups to kind of track what happens to the troops that were around Kyiv and when they sort of reappear on return back to the war. So at this point, 2nd Mechanized Division back to the action, and also we also learned that 35th Mechanized Brigade is also fighting somewhere along the Siversky Donetsk River. We don't know exactly. Could be Lyman bridgehead, could be Izyum, could be actually this like straight north where there was Severodonetsk salient somewhere there. Could be even like here, but it's somewhere there basically. So it's back in action. So this is kind of schematic view of the situation, sort of like all Russian troops. This is Ukrainian troops. Though this is Lyman bridgehead, which is now split into two pieces, and it's defended by 79th Brigade. So let's actually have a look. Here, situation is the same, no changes. Artillery shelling, reconnaissance attacks, those kind of things. The only change, actually, there is the small change on Lyman bridgehead, is that Russian troops pushed here to capture village Studenok and then Pasika. They were not really defended by Ukrainian side, so they were just kind of gray zone that formally now captured by the Russian side. And now the defense line goes along the Sosnovo village. So like basically Ukrainian side is defending Sosnovo village. It's not near Alexandrovka as it used to be. So it goes right near the Sosnovo village. So as you can see, this Ukrainian bridgehead around Svyatohirsk is getting squeezed and smaller. And then no new changes here on this, Lyman bridgehead, which is kind of like, I guess we should name it, or should call it Svyatohirsk and Lyman bridgehead, but just to avoid confusion, this bridgehead, larger one that's centered around town Lyman, now it's basically there are two, and there's a separate bridgehead and the major one actually, but there are no changes here. Okay, let's continue. Let's actually look at what's going on at the Severodonetsk salient. And as we mentioned, Popasna is sort of integral part of it, and the situation there gets worse by day for Ukrainian side. So this is where we actually think might be 35th Brigade operating here in this forest here. However, we don't know exactly, but so this side is quiet, sort of there where the Russian troops try to establish bridgeheads and start crossing the river and sort of create kind of northern pincer to encircle, Ukrainian troops in this Severodonetsk salient. So where they do have success is they continue successfully Russian side, meaning they continue successfully attacking from this Popasna area and let's call it southern pincer. So what happened today? They pushed and captured tiny village here where it's not even on the map. It's very tiny. Then they pushed to the village called Vasylivka here, which is being held by Ukrainian troops. But right now, Russian troops are attacking this village here. Russian troops continue attacking Ukrainian defenses here, straight west of Soledar. There is a village called Novokamenka here, with as well, because of the small size, it's not visible here. Then what else happened is that as it's so the Russian side captured portion of Kamyshevaha, kind of like this western portion. There's actually railroad there, and if we can, we don't have like really like zoom in map, but basically it's the railroad kind of splits this village into two pieces, and basically Russian control, the western part that's sort of separated by railroad, and Ukraine kind of controls the eastern part. Then Russian troops advanced here, captured village called Viktorivka. Again, it's tiny, too small, not visible. And now the fighting is going on for village Rubivka. Also, unclear situation here. Russian side claims that they captured small village here, which probably was just gray zone. And then the other side, also we don't know. So basically, there is village Nirivka here, and so that's sort of opposite of the tiny village here. And we don't have for sort of firm confirmation, but it's totally possible that this is also controlled by Russian side, and obviously the opposite controlled by Ukrainian side. So the biggest sort of problem is not even like who controls these tiny villages, but that the Russian side, it continues making advances here. And as you can see, this is this supply artery here for this entire sort of group, Ukrainian group, and essentially it's probably under very sort of tight artillery control from the Russian side, meaning there is probably like distance of 1 or 2 kilometers here, and so this distance is even could be controlled by the tank fire. So essentially, this road probably not is impossible to use at this point for Ukrainian side. So they have to use smaller kind of like a back roads here to supply the troops. But there are some roads, as you can see. There is a road here as well. It just makes it more difficult for Ukrainian side. There's also now real sort of chance of creating like this smaller pocket here. As you can see, they kind of like engulfing Ukrainian troops in this salient, and if they continue pushing in this direction, they can obviously create encirclement. If not here, because there's still way too many troops. It's probably not enough of Russian troops here to actually kind of like clearly cut like up north. But the encirclement here is totally possible. They can just drive here and kind of create encirclement. We also like learning that 30th Brigade, which was down south, the some of the battalions or not entire, but some units of it were moved here as well. They operating. So basically, on Ukrainian side, it's just really one big mass of different battalions from different brigades at this point here. Just so everybody understands, it's all very mixed up basically. And we're hearing that some of the units from 58th Brigade operating somewhere here. So it's which also kind of tells us that there is basically a crisis right now on the Ukrainian side in this area, right? Because this mass is a sign of a crisis in general. So this is a very so as a summary, situation got worse, right? And it's basically very on the edge for Ukrainian side here right now. So this is the same picture. We just show kind of like southern portion. So this is where this gains that Russian side made up north. And by the way, we forgot to mention. So there is airborne unit is operating here around Volodymyrka. We don't know exact number and if it's brigade or division size. So there is some unit operating here, and then Wagner mercenaries, they operate in this area basically over here. And the 57th Brigade operates more like around Kamyshevaha in this area. The 40th Naval Infantry Brigade, actually, as we mentioned, they first captured Novozvanivka, then they attacked Troyitske, were not initially successful, but they managed to capture today Troyitske, and so Ukrainian troops retreated. And then as we mentioned, that it's many times easier because they're kind of attacking from the flank and probably even kind of like from the rear. So, and defense is obviously faced like front over here. So you're not hitting the strong defenses basically, right? So now they use the tactics successfully. They captured the Troyitske. Now trying to repeat the same with a village called Vyskryva here. We'll obviously find out tomorrow what's happening, but so far fighting is going on there. So there is no conclusive answer who controls right now this village there. Okay, let's keep going. This section of the front line is kind of quiet in terms of there's no big attacks, so just artillery shelling. So we're gonna go look what's going on here straight west of Donetsk. So here it was kind of a relatively quiet day. In terms of there are no new Russian attacks except for always attacks here on Novomikhailivka and Marinka, but those apparently more like a local smaller size attacks. What is gonna happen here probably tomorrow or in a day? There will be new attack like very like big Russian attack around Avdiivka. Maybe they will try to exploit this salient or attack towards New York. But basically somewhere in this area, because there was spotted a really large convoy of Russian unit, probably brigade, mechanized brigade, that was basically moving along. So basically supply road kind of goes like this and then like this. So it was spotted in this area. So very likely that the attack in today effectively, right, because it's already morning. So today or latest tomorrow there'll be new attack in this area. So the Russian side wants to exploit. They sense weakness here in Ukrainian defenses, and they bringing new reinforcements. We don't know which unit it is, but they bringing new reinforcements to kind of punch through here further. So let's. This is kind of like close look at this salient, and we'll keep it because, as we said, there is more reinforcements coming, so there probably will be big attack in today or tomorrow in this area. So then let's keep going. Let's before we continue going, let's actually discuss a little bit Mariupol. So Ukrainian defenders surrendered there. So there were 2,439 or 36 Ukrainian defenders. They now, unfortunately, in becoming prisoners of war in Russia, and so all of the defenses were obviously seized. In our opinion, that this 810th Naval Infantry Brigade, 150th Division, and 22nd Special Forces Brigade had suffered enough losses that they are definitely not immediately reusable on the front lines here in Ukraine. So we don't expect major changes here on the Zaporizhzhia front line right now. And actually, let's look at it. As always, we focus more on the eastern side because that's the area where the Russian side is trying to build southern pincer to tie it up with the northern pincer from the Izyum bridgehead. So this is how the front line looks like right now. As we said, there are no changes here. Situation is stable because both sides have more or less the same, balanced forces. So Ukrainian side tried to do kind of small attacks and they were not successful about 4 or 5 days ago. But since then, the situation here is stable. This is the big picture look at the same stretch of the front line. This we'll call Zaporizhzhia. This is this wedge that Russian side managed to create create in in Ukrainian defenses. Sorry for that. As we mentioned many times before, the key stronghold that Ukrainian defense is sort of based on is Kamensky, Orikhiv, Gulyai-Pole, Velika Novosilka. We can also add here Vuhledar, but Vuhledar is kind of more part of the front line straight west of Donetsk, but it's basically kind of also important point here. So let's keep going. We're gonna look very quickly at the Kherson bridgehead, and as we discussed before, there are no changes there. Both Russian side is obviously doesn't have enough resources, as we said many times before, and at this point they simply protecting their gains that they gained here, specifically this channel, and this is a future launching pad for future attacks for the future. So they basically keeping gains and keeping opportunity for the future. That's the significance of this bridgehead at this point. As we can see here, Ukrainian side brought majority of 28th brigade here as well. So the forces are more or less balanced at this point here. So neither side is trying to attack. So it's just artillery shelling at this point. That's it for today. Thanks for watching, and until tomorrow. Bye bye.